Boys and girls, this week we're going to look at a story called Ruby the Copycat. It's written and illustrated by Peggy Rathman. So she's the author. What does the author do? That's right. The author writes the words. She's also the illustrator. What's an illustrator do? You got it. The illustrator draws the pictures. So Peggy Rathman did both for this book called Ruby the Copycat. Now, let's think for just a minute before we read this. Ruby the Copycat. What's a copycat? Well, a copycat is someone who copies you, who wants to do what you want to do or what you've done. Why do you think somebody would be a copycat? Think about that for a minute. Maybe because they like what you're doing, so they want to do it too. Maybe they don't feel good about themselves and what they're doing, so they want to do what you're doing. Yeah. So a copycat is someone who copies another person and does what they do. So let's find out what happens in our story this week called Ruby the Copycat. Now, we know good readers do a lot of predicting. So we're going to look at this story part of the way, and then we're going to stop and make a prediction about what Ruby will do. So join me as we start this story, and then in just a minute we'll stop and we'll write our predictions. All right, Ruby the Copycat by Peggy Rathman. So we're going to find out about which one of these girls Ruby is and find out what's happening in the story. Monday was Ruby's first day in Miss Hart's class. Class, this is Ruby, announced Miss Hart. Ruby, you may use the empty desk behind Angela. Angela is the girl with the pretty red bow in her hair. Angela smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Angela's bow and tiptoed to her seat. So this must be Angela, and here is Ruby coming to school her first day, so she's going to come over to her seat. But do you notice what it said she did? She smiled at Angela's bow. That's interesting. We're going to have to find out what's going on here. I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend, said Miss Hart. Does anyone have something to share? I was the flower girl at my sister's wedding, said Angela. That's exciting, said Miss Hart. Ruby raised her hand halfway and said, I was the flower girl at my sister's wedding, too. What a coincidence, said Miss Hart. Angela turned and smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at the top of Angela's head. Class, please take out your reading books, said Miss Hart. Did you notice what Miss Hart called it? When Angela said she was a flower girl at her sister's wedding, and then Ruby said, I was too. She said, what a coincidence. What do you think a coincidence is? A coincidence is when something happens and then something else happens that's the same, but you didn't plan it. You didn't expect it. And so it happens the same, and you go, oh, wow, that's cool. It happened the same. So Angela was a flower girl at her sister's wedding over the weekend, and well, what a coincidence. Ruby was too. They didn't plan that. They didn't know they were doing the same, but they both were. But again, did you notice what Ruby did? It said she smiled at the top of Angela's head. Isn't that interesting? Wonder why she keeps looking at her head and at her bow. At lunchtime, Ruby hopped all the way home on one foot. When Ruby came back to school, she was wearing a red bow in her hair. She slid into her seat behind Angela. I like your bow, whispered Angela. I like yours too, whispered Ruby. Class, please take out your math books, said Miss Hart. Did you notice what Ruby did? Ruby got to go home at lunch. And so when she went home, she hopped all the way home. And look what she's done. She's put a red bow in her hair to match Angela's. She's copied Angela, hasn't she? Wonder why she's copied Angela. Maybe she thinks she just liked her. She wanted to be like her. Maybe so. All right, let's see what happened. On Tuesday morning, Angela wore a sweater with daisies on it. At lunchtime, Ruby hopped home sideways. When Ruby came back to school after lunch, she was wearing, you guess it, a sweater with daisies on it. I like your sweater, whispered Angela. I like yours too, whispered Ruby. Let's go back and look at that again. Let's look at that sweater. Look right there. Look at Ruby's sweater. Ruby hopped home at lunch. Look, and she's carried this paper with her. Because look at the paper up here where she was painting. Look what she painted. She painted daisies just like on Angela's sweater. She's carried it home with her, and look what she's done. She's cut out those daisies and pinned them, look, they're safety pins, all over her sweater. She's trying to match Angela, isn't she? She's copied Angela. But Angela said, I like your sweater. So Ruby and Angela, Ruby's wanting to be a lot like Angela, isn't she? She's copying her a lot because that means she wants to be like her, doesn't she? And seems like so far, Angela likes it, doesn't she? On Wednesday, Angela wore a hand-painted t-shirt with matching sneakers. After lunch, Ruby hopped back to school wearing a hand-painted t-shirt and matching sneakers. Look over here. Let me move myself. Look right there. See Angela here with her rainbow striped shirt and her sneakers, and look at Ruby with her rainbow striped shirt and her sneakers. Look, Ruby went home at lunch and painted herself, didn't she? Why are you sitting like that? Whispered Angela. Wet paint, said Ruby. Look at her paint. She's even got a handprint on her face and her shirt and her belly there because she's painted herself up to look like Angela, hasn't she? All right, let's see what Ruby does next. She's certainly being a copycat, isn't she? On Thursday morning during share time, Angela modeled the flower girl dress that she wore at her sister's wedding. Ruby modeled her flower girl dress too right after lunch. Angela didn't whisper anything. Look, Angela has her flower girl dress from her sister's wedding. And look at Ruby. Do you think Ruby was really a flower girl at her sister's wedding? I'm kind of sort of to start thinking that maybe she wasn't. Because does that look like a real flower girl dress? And don't those look like those paper flowers that she made the other day? I'm kind of thinking that Ruby is copying Angela, wanting to be like her. Yeah, when she really wasn't that. Look at Angela. Look, her face is not smiling. Look at her hand. It's in a fist. Kind of means you're angry when you put your hands in fists, doesn't it? She's kind of not feeling so good about Ruby copying her, is she? Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that Angela's not liking this. Ruby copying her flower girl dress. And it said Angela didn't whisper anything. It's kind of making me think Angela's not feeling too good about things. Don't you think? Let's see what happens next. Here they are in those flower girl dresses. Well, by coincidence, Friday morning, both girls wore red and lavender striped dresses. Look back at that. You can see them right up there. They're wearing the same dress, but it said by coincidence. So they didn't plan it. Just happened. Ruby wore the dress. Angela wore the dress. Just happened. It was a coincidence. But look at Angela. Look at her right there. She doesn't look very happy about this. She's not wanting Ruby to copy her and be the same as her anymore. So now, look, she's really upset that they just happened to wear the same dress, didn't she? At lunchtime, Angela raced home. When Angela came back to school, she was wearing black. Look at Angela's face. She's no longer happy. She does not want Ruby to copy her. She made sure she got out of that dress fast, didn't she? Angela's not feeling very good. On Friday afternoon, Miss Hart asked everyone to write a short poem. Who would like to read first? Asked Miss Hart. Angela raised her hand. She stood by her desk and read. I had a cat I could not see because it stayed in back of me. It was a very loyal pet. It's sad we never really met. That was very good, said Miss Hart. Now who's next? Miss Hart looked around the room. Ruby? Oh my. Listen to Angela's poem one more time. I had a cat I could not see because it stayed in back of me. It was a very loyal pet. It's sad we really never met. We think Angela's talking about a cat that's back behind her. Who's always back behind her? Ruby. And Ruby's being a what? A copycat? I think her poem's about Ruby. But did you hear what it said? It's sad we never really met. I think she's sad because she's really not getting to know Ruby because Ruby's just always copying her, huh? Interesting. Well, Miss Hart has called on Ruby to read next. What do you think Ruby's poem is going to be? We know Ruby's a copycat. What do you think she's going to make her poem about? Angela's made a poem that's really, truly about Ruby, but I don't know if Ruby thinks that. What do you think Ruby's poem is going to be? Listen to Angela's poem one more time. I had a cat I could not see because it stayed in back of me. It was a very loyal pet. It's sad we really never met. What do you think Ruby's going to do? Now it's your time to predict. Get out your red journal and you're going to write for me what you think Ruby's poem is going to be about. Draw me a picture of Ruby. Oh, remember she's got that hair going up in that red bow. Draw me a picture of Ruby and show me what you think Ruby's going to do. Is she going to have a poem? Is she going to say, I don't have one because all she can do is copy? Or is she going to make her own poem? You think she's going to be creative and think of her own poem? Or do you think she's just going to copy Angela's poem? What do you think she's going to do? Write for me and show me what you think what you think she's going to do, what her poem's going to be, or if she's even going to have a poem. And then you'll come back to Seesaw and you'll listen to the rest of the story and find out what really happened.